The Tennessee Titans gave up 6 sacks in their Week 1 loss to the Denver Broncos, but who's to blame? I'm going to show you what I saw on tape in today's film breakdown from Tic Tac Titan. Titans fans, welcome into another film breakdown from Tic Tac Titans, your home for Tennessee Titans X's and O's. I am your host, Tyler Rowland, 25 years as a Tennessee Titans fanatic. I've covered the team for USA Today, Sports Illustrated, and hosted the #1 Tennessee Titans podcast, Locked on Titans, for 7 seasons. In today's film breakdown, we're going to look at the 6 sacks that the Tennessee Titans allowed against the Denver Broncos. We are going to talk about who is at fault for those sacks. There are some offensive linemen at fault, running backs, even Cam Ward had his own fair share of blame, but ultimately, I think the overall issue is the lack of good coaching. The Tennessee Titans offense did strange things. There were strange play calls. There were strange routes, and I think a lot of the problems that the Titans had on offense in that game do come back to the root cause of poor coaching. So before we dive into the film, do want to thank you for checking out Tic Tac Titans. Again, I'm going to have year-round free Tennessee Titans film content here on the channel. If you want to make sure that you're most informed, the most educated Tennessee Titans fan you could possibly be, you got to make sure you get all the discussion over at Locked on Titans and then get all the film here at Tic Tac Titans. So make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed, throw a thumbs up on the video, throw a Titan up down in the chat, and as we always do, let's step into the film room. On the first sack of the game, I think this is one where you could say this is Cam Ward's fault. This sack is on Cam Ward. Now, he's not the only person to blame, in my opinion, and I'll get into that. But look at the design of the play here. So this is going to be a man-beating concept for the red zone, where the wide receivers are going to kind of do a switch release here where they cross each other. And then Van Jefferson is going to do a corner route right here, and then Chim Dike is just going to stay in the flat. And again, the Broncos like to run a ton of man coverage, especially in the red zone. And this play is specifically designed to do that. Where I think the flaw comes in here is that they roll Cam Ward out. So what you're doing when you do a rollout play like this is you're cutting the field in half. Because once Cam Ward rolls this way, there's basically no opportunity to go back to the other side of the field. So you have made it to where the defense doesn't have to cover the whole field, and they just have to cover this half of the field. So I don't like the idea of the play right here, especially rolling to Cam Ward's left. He's not even rolling to his right-hand side. So I just really don't like the call here. But again, at the end of the day, this is, I would say, the one sack where I would say it's Cam Ward's fault. Because right here, he's got a ton of time to throw the football. Yeah, that guy's barreling down on him, but he has him right here. And if you look at Van Jefferson is crossing this dude up right now. What you would want to see from Cam Ward, and I think what you will see from Cam Ward going forward, is you want to throw this ball with anticipation. Cam Ward should be getting rid of this ball right now and just lobbing it up right here to Van Jefferson. The play look, you get the look that you're looking for. It's man coverage. Your guy is even with this guy and has him beat leverage-wise with the corner's head inside and his body flowing inside. Cam Ward should toss this ball right now, and it's probably a touchdown. So I know folks don't want to hear it, and I've already made videos talking about why the game overall is not Cam Ward's fault, but this sack right here in the red zone, this should have been a touchdown, and I think if Cam Ward could go back and do this again, it'd be a touchdown 9 out of 10 times. But make no mistake about it, I hate the play call right here to cut the field in half, but the play is open, and this should have been a touchdown, and I would say it's mostly Cam Ward's fault. You could see Van Jefferson right there. He's wide open. You know, if that ball's thrown, and now Cam Ward is like, uh-oh, the pressure's here. Even if he keeps rolling this way and makes it, again, rookie in his first game, first red zone appearance, things happen. But you got to be honest when you look through the tape. And I saw some people saying that, you know, Gunnar Helm blew the block on the 3rd down or whatever. Guys, this is a designed rollout to this direction. The offensive line slides this way. This ball should be thrown before this guy can ever impact the play. That's the point of this slide protection here is, hey, we don't even got to worry about this backside guy because the ball should be well out before he has a chance to get there. So, again, I'm not going to blame Gunnar Helm for clearly sliding where the protection is supposed to go on this play. You see this a lot on a design rollout. So, again, I know nobody wants to put any blame on Cam Ward, but out of all the plays in the game that you could maybe fault him for, I think this one is high up there. Now, on the day, if you go by like Pro Football Focus charting, they charted 3 sacks on other players. Tony Pollard was responsible for 1, Ali Udoh was responsible for 1, and J.C. Latham was responsible for 1. And this is that play where Latham is clearly responsible. But the reality is, and I think one of the encouraging things, is that this isn't J.C. Latham just getting whooped by the Broncos defender and losing. If you watch, he's literally looking inside at the snap. Now, you could say, hey, that's Latham's fault. He should be ready for the snap, all of that. But this isn't J.C. Latham getting beat in pass pro. He's literally looking inside to see when the ball is going to be snapped as it's snapped, and his man's already passed it. So if you want to blame Latham and say he should be more ready, blah, 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 all of that, but I would rather have a sack like this on Latham than a sack where he just gets absolutely beat by a guy. Look, he's inside. Look, everybody's going, and his man's already there, and he can't recover from that. Now he's chasing, you see what I mean? Like, you could say, oh, bad job, J.C. Latham, but it's not like, and if you want to go to the other side, look at Dan Moore. Dan Moore is ready for the snap. Dan Moore does get beat one-on-one by Nick Bonito to the inside, and if J.C. Latham's guy didn't get Cam Ward, Dan Moore's guy was going to get Cam Ward right away anyways. Watch it. Dan Moore oversets right here. And look at this gap. Now, should Tony Pollard stick his nose in here and help? That's probably what the design is. I can't know that. But look how Dan Moore gets beat inside, and Nick Bonito meets Cooper there. So that's probably going to be a sack no matter what. But J.C. Latham was a problem with not being ready to go at the start of the snap, whereas Dan Moore just gets beat on the play. Lucky it wasn't a safety. This sack is another example of not it being one person execution poorly. This is a failure by an entire offense on this one. And I think on this one, you could also say, hey, maybe Cam Ward could have helped the team out here and not taken a sack, but I'm not going to explicitly blame Cam Ward. But we're going to see a play action pass, and Chigakonkwo is going to split flow motion across right here to pick up another guy on the outside, Gunnar Helm right here too. So the offensive line is going to slide this way. Okay, and again, play action pass, max protect, and we're going to have a 2-man route concept where Calvin Ridley comes inside and then goes vertically, and then Alec Iomanner is going to come inside and then go on an out route. And this is against man coverage as well, but the offensive line just gets bowled over here is basically what happens. And once the Broncos linebackers, as they should, once they realize, hey, my man responsibility, the 2 tight ends, are staying in the block, now I'm blitzing. That is a coaching point where, hey, if you see your man stay in the block and that's your man coverage assignment, you need to blitz. Okay, and that's what the Broncos do. So they're already bringing a 5-man pressure, and then you add in more guys coming after their assignments stay in. You see the safety out here who's responsible for Tony Pollard just chilling. But here's what I would say. Cam Ward gets past the initial pressure, and right here, we're nitpicking, guys. I know you're all going to get mad at me, but right here, this is the difference between sacks and non-sacks. If Cam Ward throws this ball out here somewhere, one, he could give his man a chance to catch it, or at minimum, he could throw this ball away right now. Hey, this is covered. If he doesn't feel that this guy is open, which he must not because he didn't throw the ball, then this is when you get rid of it. He has time right now to get rid of the football. He had time to do it, but he kept wanting to go forward, didn't want to let the play die. Again, I know we're nitpicking here, but these are the difference makers. So you could see both the interior guys get pushed. Push through Kevin Zeitler here, and Lloyd Cushenberry doesn't necessarily have a great rep either, okay? But right here, Cam Ward does a great job. Listen, look at his back. His back is literally turned to the defenders right here, and they're basically already through. So great job by Cam Ward to make that move right there. That's special. That's good from Cam Ward. But right now, we got to make a decision. Right now, we either need to throw this to Alec Iomanner and give him a chance to get it, even though he's covered very well by Riley Moss, or we need to throw this out of bounds right now. okay? He's broken the tackle box. He's outside. You could throw this out of bounds, dirt it to Alec Iomaner's feet. This is an opportunity where Cam Ward could have gotten rid of the ball and not taken a sack. Again, I'm not going to blame it solely on him because the Broncos just envelop the Titans' offensive line and force him out. But the quarterback can help his offensive line and his offense in these moments to get rid of the ball. He's taken down squarely. So this one is one of the plays that we talked about where the Titans lost 27 yards after a turnover, got knocked out of field goal range. I broke this down on Twitter directly. But I think this is squarely on Brian Callahan. This is not on Cam Ward. This is not on, the offensive line. It will be attributed to the offensive line, and we'll see why, but this is a failure by Brian Callahan. So you're going to have wheel route here. You're going to have wheel route here. Or this is Calvin Ridley. Comes on the wheel route, okay? And then you're going to have two post routes that literally go into each other. And I mentioned this when I broke it down online, but this reminds me of Kurt Warner's breakdown from the Titans' first preseason game, where he didn't say Brian Callahan's fault specifically, but he was very, very critical of the route depth, the route spacing, the route technique that the Titans wide receivers were using. He was not complimentary to the Tennessee Titans offensive design, and I think this play, more than anything else, is a failure of coaching because the route design right here on 2nd and long when you cannot afford a sack to get knocked out of field goal range is bad. And schematically, he gets smoked by Vance Joseph because the Broncos are in quarters coverage. So none of these vertical routes have the opportunity to pull two defenders and leave one guy. They're all, this corner can take him. This quarter safety is literally waiting here for the post. This quarter safety is waiting for the post. And this quarter's corner is with this wheel. There's literally nowhere to go. And I had somebody online this week say, he should have thrown it to number 5. It was an easy pass. If that's what you think when you see this play right here, look at this safety. His eyes are straight on him. If Cam Ward throws this to Alec Iomaner on the post, this is an interception or a hospital ball at most. So, I don't mean to be crass here, but if you watch this play and you watch my breakdown and your response is he could have thrown it to number 5, you do not know ball. Like, there's no other way around it. You simply don't know what you're looking at here because that would have been a devastating decision by Cam Ward to throw that ball. Look, the safety's right there. And this safety's right here too. So both of these dudes are running into each other. And you want them to throw into that? Stupid. Just a stupid response, quite honestly. But even dumber is the route design. Why do you have both these guys going at each other? It doesn't make sense. Now, if Gunnar Helm would be a little shorter on this play, like if Helm would have run this to right here, and then Iomaner has a deeper post, and now you have two different levels, you might have been able to have something there. Like, imagine if Helm bent this right behind this linebacker. This curl flat would not have been able to get there in time, and these safeties would have been too deep to get to that. So to me, this is a route depth issue and a design issue by Brian Callahan. He is most at fault. But if we want to go to the end zone view, I have another reason why this is Brian Callahan's fault. So J.C. Latham had just gotten hurt, the Tennessee Titans starting right tackle. And in his stead is backup offensive tackle Ali Udoh. Now let me ask you guys, let me ask the chat here. If your backup offensive tackle was in the game and you kept a running back in to help him, or to help, where would you send your running back? Would you send your running back to your 4 starting offensive linemen? Or would you send your running back to help your backup offensive tackle? Seems pretty simple that you would send your running back to help your backup offensive tackle. But guess what Tony Pollard does? He goes inside to help Lloyd Cushenberry, which is frustrating to me because Cush has help from Peter Skoronski. Skoronski is meant to help this side. If Tony Pollard chips out here and helps Ali Udoh, Cam Ward might have time to get out of the pocket and create something, turn it into a scramble drill. But Ali Udoh gets beat straight inside, and this is the sack that is Ali Udoh's fault that we talked about earlier. He gets beat straight inside, And what do you want Cam Ward to do here? I saw some people say throw it away. If Cam Ward throws the ball away, he's in the pocket. That is called intentional grounding, which means he would lose the yardage and he would lose the down. There is no benefit here. There is no benefit. Now, I saw some people say Cam should have just laid down and taken the sack. I guess. I don't know how many quarterbacks we see that aren't in their late 30s do that. But again, if you want to say that's Cam Ward's fault, I would put the design of the play getting absolutely smoked by Vance Joseph and the route depths being terrible and not helping Aliudo with a bad protection scheme. I would put those all way ahead of that being Cam Ward's fault. Now we go to the second sack on this drive, the very next play here. The very next play. All right. And as I broke down earlier, I think this is a scheme loss by Brian Callahan. Okay, the Titans are going to run a zone-beating concept. Okay, a zone beater. This is meant to beat zone coverage. You're going to have Calvin Ridley on a deep corner route, which is the deep route. You're going to have Alec Iomanor on an out-stop route, which is the medium route. And then you're going to have Tyler Lockett on a short sit-down route. And this is meant to attack zone coverage, because if the Broncos are in cover 3, then you're going to have your deep third, and you're going to have a curl flat. All right? Well, that's 2 defenders for 3 players. Someone's going to be open. And what I think happened is, I think Brian Callahan expected cover 3 on 3rd and long. And then Tyler Lockett would be open on the short route because it's 3rd and long. And if the Broncos are smart, which they are a smart defense, they would take the 2 deeper routes so that they don't give up a first down, let Cam Ward have this short stuff. But in the process, if that happened, Tyler Lockett catches it, and now they're in field goal range. So I bet that's what Brian Callahan is thinking is, hey, we're going to attack their cover 3 because it's 3rd and forever, and we'll get a short little completion to Tyler Lockett for 7 or 8. We'll stay in field goal range. We'll get our 3 points, and we'll move forward with some success. But the Broncos, as I pointed out, all week long, the Broncos run 30% man coverage on 3rd and long. They aren't a team that does heavy zone on 3rd and long. They will play cover 1 man, and that's exactly what the Broncos do. So look, it's man coverage, and no one is open. No one's open. Calvin's got both these guys on him. The corner ran this route for Alec. This guy's right here. If you want to say Cam Ward, get the ball away here, okay, but I could see a potential where that gets jumped and it turns into a pick 6. So I'm not going to fault Cam Ward. And look at Cam Ward in the pocket right here. Dead to rights. Aliudo, dead to rights. What do you want Cam Ward to do here? You know? I don't understand. So, now this, Gunnar Helm wasn't assigned a sack because this man doesn't ultimately get the sack, but that's Gunnar Helm's fault right there. Let's just call it what it is. I love Nightmare on Helm Street, you know. I'm one of his biggest defenders and supporters, but he gets beat there by an NFL-level edge rusher. But you have your rookie tight end one-on-one in pass rush against the defensive line that led the NFL in sacks last year. So I guess what do you think was going to happen? And now at this point, you can't blame any of the other offensive linemen because it's been in the pocket too long. Gunnar Helm gets beat. But, you know, again, I go back to on both of those plays, terrible design, terrible play call, and you get smoked schematically. This is the last play of the game for the Titans, and this is the one that's on Tony Pollard. You see Tony Pollard right here. He's a helper. He should have slid out here and taken the free rusher. That's literally what the running back is supposed to do. And he stays inside again and doesn't fly out there. Now, at some point, if Tony Pollard is messing this up consistently, don't you have to look at coaching and say, why are your players so unprepared? Why are your players making the same mistakes over and over again? You know, maybe you want to say Cam Ward should have moved Tony Pollard to the other side and seen a potential free rusher coming off the edge, but you're asking a lot from a rookie quarterback in his first start here. So the blitzer comes late. They slide here. No one's here to pick this up. Tony Pollard's over here slapping ass, doing nothing, literally doing nothing. Tony Pollard should be right here, and this is why Tony Pollard was assigned this sack. Now, we'll never know Whether that's the coach's fault, Cam's fault, Tony's fault, we can't know. But all I can tell you is it's another situation where there's nobody open. It's a 3-man route. The Titans are in max pro. They have 7 guys in the block and only 3 guys out. This is classic Mike Vrabel offense right here, okay? But how do you keep 7 guys in and still aren't able to block a free rusher? At some point when the team is doing things like this, again, you have to look at the coaching staff. And what's Cam Ward going to do? And he tried to throw the ball away, just to throw the ball because it's freaking the end of the game and they're down and they got to do something. But what's Tony Pollard doing here? What are we doing? Playing grab ass with people who don't need help. Head on a swivel. Move around. Look at that. Kevin Zeitler and Tony Pollard over here playing 5-on-3 while it's 3-on-2 on the other side with a free rusher. That is bad coaching. They're clueless. They're lost out there. They don't know what to do. And the Denver Broncos coaching staff, which is excellent, absolutely smoked Brian Callahan and his offensive staff in this game. All right, Titans fans, that was my breakdown on the Tennessee Titans sacks that they allowed against the Denver Broncos. Again, there's a lot of blame to go around, but the core issue, in my opinion, is the Tennessee Titans coaching did not do a good enough job getting the Titans prepared for this game. Now, another big test is coming up against the Los Angeles Rams. The Titans better be better prepared for that matchup because they have a really good defensive line as well. I'm going to be here to break it all down on the channel. On tomorrow's episode, I'm going to break down Jeffrey Simmons' dominant performance in Week 1 and how it has me very optimistic about what Simmons can do in Week 2. But with that being said, again, I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Make sure that you throw a thumbs up on the video, tighten up down in the chat, and as I tell you guys every single episode, tighten up.